Hey guys, my name is Tom Hanks, and today in honor of Toy Story 4, we're going to be creating a Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head cake. It's a double-sided cake. It turned out pretty nice, even though I had some problems with it, but that's okay. Let's get started. Now, if you like the content I produce on this channel, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps me out. To create this cake, I'm using my PVC pipe stand. You've seen this before. A lot of you have a lot of questions that I have not answered. Why? Because I'm lazy. The thing that I love about this cake is that to create it, I was kind of perfecting my egg-shaped cake. I wanted to see if I could create an egg shape using two half-dome cakes. So the first half dome, I'm not carving this or leveling it out at all. I'm just keeping it as it is. I added some support and then I added my second half dome cake. Now for the top of this, I took two dome cakes and I cut them into 3 pieces. Now I'm layering the top halves on top of each other and the rest of only one of the dome cakes. So the other one you're just gonna scrap. You can throw it in the trash, eat it on the side, give it to the peacock that lives in San Marino. I'm gonna be carving this cake, but I didn't want it to crust, which is why there's an initial crumb coat. I get a lot of comments about this. It's alright, it's no big deal. But because this cake is tall and it's not like sitting on the cake board, I wanted to make sure that it was stable enough to carve. While this cake was in the fridge, I started watching a Netflix show. I started watching this show called The Society. It's about these kids who go off on a trip that gets canceled halfway through. They end up back in their like little hometown and everybody is gone except for them. So these high school students have to create their own society. Does it function? Sometimes, not really. Why do they throw a prom? I don't know, I guess because they're kids. None of them seem as worried as they should be that everybody's gone. There's a lot of things that don't make sense, but also I really like the show. Let's get back to this cake. So when I took it out of the fridge, I started to carve it again, and I just wanted to make sure that instead of an egg-shaped cake, that I was giving it the Mr. Potato Head shape. And if you want to see more Toy Story characters, I created a Bo Peep doll cake that is pretty awesome. So make sure you check that out on my channel. I smoothed out my cake and I added my first layer of fondant. And I'm just covering it all in brown. This was terrible. Terrible, terrible. Terrible. I don't know how to smoothen it out at the bottom. It started to like pucker and then there was too much fondant and I was like, okay, whatever. Just make sure one side looks nice and then we'll take care of the other side. So I ended up cutting this in half and then adding on another piece of fondant, which is why you'll see a seam at the side of this cake. Now to create all of these characters' features, I'm using a ton of fondant. How much? Probably like 75,000 tons. So much fondant, you guys. Now the voice actor for Mr. Potato Head was Don Rickles. Let me make sure of that because I just started talking and sometimes what I say isn't true. Oh, I was right. Good job. I wanted to make sure that I got all of their characteristics right, which I actually didn't. I started the cake too far down on the cake board. You know, there should have been more of a space so that his shoes and her shoes could be a lot higher, because that's how the toy is. The thing that I like about Don Rickles is his voice is very distinct. It's kind of like Martin Scorsese's voice, or the guy that plays the pig. He's like in every Pixar movie. The inflections in his voice give the character so many dimensions. And one of the things that I started to really hate about animated movies was they started to cast famous actors as opposed to famous voice actors who have very different, very strange qualities in their vocals so that the character sounds original as opposed to just like Chris Pratt or Tom Holland. Not that I don't love them, it's just that their voices are not unique enough that it brings more to the animated character. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate. Please don't at me. Don Rickles was one of the people that could elevate the animated character that he was portraying. That's all I'm saying. Alright? That's why I liked him. Who was Mrs. Potato Head? Let's look this up. Estelle Harris. Oh! Is she? She's in Seinfeld? Yes! Oh, I love her too. She was George Costanza's mom. another one of the actors that can really upgrade an animated character. I'm not one of those people. Like, if I were to animate a character, that you would forget about that animated character 5 seconds after you saw it talk. But not Don Rickles, and certainly not Esther Harris. Now, my favorite part about creating this cake was creating the hat, because the hat had to be cut in half. I wanted to make sure we had the black sort of bowler hat that Mr. Potato Head had, and then on the back you had that sort of sun hat that Mrs. Potato Head had. Very misleading. You can't tell that there's another person behind this person. The thing that I struggled with the most with this cake were the arms. Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, when you buy like the toy, the arms are like this, right? And then I wanted one of the hands to be up, which meant that there had to be a wire in between the arm. It's very tricky. I didn't know how did I do that? I don't remember. This footage is 2 months old. How did he from the past do that? I don't know. To attach them to the cake, I added a little bit of royal icing and it leaked just a little bit. You see there? It doesn't look as bad on camera, but I felt it in my heart when it happened. But this is the thing about YouTube. When I was creating this cake, I was working on the magic lamp and I was also working on Godzilla. And when I mess up on something, I can't just, okay, let's just redo the whole thing. That's not how it works. I have to just like accept the mistake and say we're gonna move past it. How? I don't know. There's a lot of sweat and tears. Mostly tears, not a lot of sweat. It's kind of cold in California right now. But it's just hard to know that if you had a second chance at creating this cake, so many of the things that you did wrong could be improved upon, and yet you have to publish your draft on YouTube. Once I attached both of the arms, my Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head was complete. Da, da, da. Look at that. Although I don't like the feet because they look squished, I think all of the features of the characters are nice. I love the shape of the pink ears. I love Mr. Potato Head's mustache. I love the flower on Mrs. Potato Head's hat, which was really easy because it was just a fondant cutter. Oh, and those lips. Look how luscious they look. She could be a cover girl. I'm curious. I'm going to be assuming that you're watching this on October 21st. So Toy Story 4 has already been out. What did you think? Huh? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I love you. I will see you very soon. Peace!